Hey, RJ here. Today we're going to talk about the Landlord Protection Plan, which we have the acronym of the LLPP. I got to start this out by saying tenants suck. Do you really believe that? Because you better not, because without tenants, we'd all go broke. We need people that want to rent houses. So tenants don't suck. They just need to be trained properly. They're kind of like puppies or they're like kids. And when they get out of line, they got to have actions, have to have consequences. And it's so important because the key is with tenants is screening. And I know National ERA, which is run by Anthony Salmieri, not only do they screen the people and verify where they live, and they go back one more place, okay, to the residence before that, but they're also checking the job and they're verifying their income to make sure that these people can pay. But they do something that's even more important, which was something that I insisted on. They have to go to the prospective tenant's house and see how they're living. We want to do this before we ever sign a lease because we want to know, do they have one dog, three dogs, five cows, a cat, a goat, a mouse? What do they got in the house? Do they take care of it? Do they have cockroaches? Do they have junk cars? And so often we might select a tenant, but they never get into the house because we went and looked at their place and they just don't fit the bill. So knowing that, you know that we pretty much have good people that are going into these houses, and even so, every once in a while, you're going to get fooled because people can fool you. It's that simple. I mean, it's no way around it. But the key is, what happens after they move in? See, isn't that when the damage happens, where they don't take care of things or they don't pay the rent? So what do? Well, it's impossible for property managers to go out to houses and continually look after them, especially when they have large portfolio of houses. And I mean this, none of them do it in America, none of them. So we created what's called the Landlord Protection Plan. And really what this is it gives us a report card on the tenant. A separate company is hired, this isn't Anthony's company, a separate company is hired to go out there 3 times a year to take pictures of the property, to walk through the property, change the batteries in the smoke detector, change the air filter in the air conditioning, because a lot of times people don't do that and we could kill an air conditioning condenser if we don't. So they change this stuff. They look under all the sinks to see if there's water leaking. They go outside the house. They're looking for pests inside and outside. Invariably in Georgia, we have ants all the time. But they're outside, but we kill them every time these people go over there. That's the biggest part of the Landlord Protection Plan. 3 reports with dated pictures so that the outside company can't use an old picture. It has to have a date on it so we know that these things were done 3 times a year. And it gives us pictures of the inside and the outside and an absolute report card on the people. Kind of like your kids when they went to school, isn't it? Hey, maybe some of you are in school right now. You're still getting report cards. I don't know. But I can tell you, this is so important. But that's only the first benefit. There's other benefits to it as well. Now, this thing costs $399 a year, and every single one of our investors has to have it, or we don't want to manage their stuff. Anthony won't manage it because it makes sense. This is an insurance program for you guys. But listen to the other benefits. You never pay for an eviction. Evictions can be costly. To file them in Georgia, it's not that bad, about $120 to $150. But if the person's time to go there and file them is very costly, there's no charge. And many times, we'll file an eviction on somebody on the 8th day of the month just because they didn't pay, but they're going to pay. But we still had to file the eviction to pretty much put a gun to their head to make sure, look, we know you're going to pay on the 15th, but the owner in this house is tough. And if you don't pay, he wants to know that we've got a court date set and you're going out. And so they get that. And that's more psychological training that we do on them up front before they ever even get into your house. So that's a giant benefit for people. Additionally, we let everybody come into my master insurance policy. My master insurance policy will get you the lowest interest rate, not the lowest interest rates, but the lowest insurance rates with the best coverage that we can get. And going from memory, we have $1 million liability, $2,500 deductible, because it doesn't make sense to have one for less than that. The biggest thing that we worry about in Georgia is hailstorms and tornadoes. The other thing is we have loss of rents in there too for $5,000. In the last 2 years, we had 2 houses burned down, and both of them have been satisfied by the insurance company to our liking. So it's good. It's a very good policy. Additionally, often what happens in Georgia, and this goes on throughout the United States, because you got to remember, municipalities get their money from charging property taxes. Well, a lot of times the property taxes get out of line. They get a little bit aggressive raising the rates. We have another separate company where the guy has, we'll just call them connections with the county appraisers, because he's been doing this in business for many, many years. And he fights for the benefit of all of us. Now, not every house is subject to a fight, because what happens in Atlanta is when we sell you a house, your property taxes are based on the sale price of that house for 1 year. Then after that, they start to raise them. And that's where we get aggressive and we try to protect you that. Additionally, let's see, we got the real estate tax challenge, we got the evictions are free, changing the smoke detector, looking for leaks, looking for pests. I think that's enough. But you know what, folks? I got to tell you honestly, the $399, it doesn't cut it. It isn't enough money. Anthony found out in a hurry the first year it cost him money. So what we also have is the Tenant Protection Plan, TTP. What do? We make the tenants pay $200 a year for the very same plan that you are, so that you don't have to pay more. So now they're paying us to go inspect their houses so that you can see what your houses look like. Now tell me, does that sound like a good idea? You better believe it is. And we started this because I have a lot of houses up in Atlanta. You might sound crazy. I don't have time to look at my houses. I never do. I'm constantly buying new houses. I look at reports and I look at my rent to see if the rent came in properly. And I think that's all you guys need to do, because we're no different. I'm what am I? I'm an investor just like you guys. I'm a passive investor like you guys. I'm active in the business of buying and selling, but when it comes to investing, I learned a long time ago that if I'm doing it, then I just got a job. So I hire that out and I'm not doing it. You guys shouldn't do it either. But I can tell you this, National ERA, in my opinion, and I know, had the best program out there for what we do to protect us, to give us the assurances that we need so that we can sleep at night when we're so many miles away from these properties. Hey, thanks so much for listening. As always, contact me if you have any questions about anything related to real estate.